Depreciation charge is straight line method with a residual value of £1,800. And we've got a full year's depreciation charge in the year of acquisition and none in the year of disposal. Okay, so we're going to keep this scenario on screen just so that you can keep referring back to it as we go through. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is calculate the depreciation. What do we need to consider then if we're using straight line method when it comes to working out how much depreciation we're going to charge per year? So those who were in my last webinar, this is a little test for you. Excellent, Sarah. Brilliant. Yeah, we've got to take into account the residual value. So this is the scrap value. Well done, Holly. So this is the amount that we think that it'd be sold for when we decide to get rid of it. Okay, so we purchased it on 1st of May and we sold it on 31st of July. It cost us £20,800 and it had got a residual value of £1,800. Okay, so this is giving us a depreciation cost. So this is what we want to depreciate of £19,000 in total. Okay, so just to test you a little further then, if we was using reducing balance method, would we take into account the residual value? Oh, well done, everybody. Yeah, that's correct. No, we wouldn't. And the reason being is because when you're using reducing balance or diminishing balance method, there is no, it'll never get to zero. So it don't really matter about the residual value because by the time you've depreciated it on a percentage basis, it will you're going to get rid of it and it's going to have minimal value. Okay then, so the 19,000 is what we're going to base this depreciation amount on. Okay, so not the 20,800. And as daft as it seems, if you ignore the residual value, you're going to lose valuable marks. Okay, so remember to take that off first, but only with straight line method. So we're going to then calculate how much we're going to depreciate per annum. So we've got 19,000, it's 20%. Okay, so that gives us £3,800 per annum. So what we're going to write off is exactly the same amount each year at £3,800. Okay, so is that clear for everybody? Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay then, so the next thing we've got to do is we've got to move on and we've got to work out the total accumulated depreciation. Okay, so an examiner is going to test your skills, all right? So remember that at this level, we're testing what you've learned previous. So you know about depreciation, okay? So within a question like this, it means that we can test, do you understand the different forms of depreciation? And do you know how to calculate it based on the life of an asset? Okay, so we're testing quite a few skills when we're doing things like this. So we've got to work out the total accumulated depreciation for the period of time that we've owned it. Okay, remember there's no depreciation in year of year disposal. Now what you've got to do with this, students tend to get a bit confused regarding the number of years. Write it down. Okay, that's what your scrap paper's for in an exam. Don't try and do it off top of your head because when you're under exam pressure, you sometimes do get a bit confused. So write it down, okay? So we're working out. So we've got year one. We bought it on 1st of May, okay? As year end runs to 31st of March. Okay, so we've got 1st of March to 1st of May to 31st of March. So that's going to be his first year that we charge 3,800. In year two, we're going to then take it for a full financial year, 1st of April to 31st of March, which is another 3,800. In year three, then, we've got 1st of April to 31st of March, 3,800. And then in year four, we've got the 1st of April to the 31st of July. So this is the year that we've sold it. Okay, and it stipulates that there is none charged in the year of disposal. So we're not charging any depreciation whatsoever in that year. So the total amount of accumulated depreciation that would have been written off up to the point that we sold the asset would be 11,400. Okay, now this is a common thing that you've got to work out in an exam, so please don't try and do it in your head, just write it down. Okay, if you were doing it based on months and they said you depreciated it as well in the year that you disposed of it, you'd have April to July where you could just divide your 3,800 and then times it by the months. But the concept, the logic behind it is very, very simple, as long as you take it step by step. Okay, so this is the first part of the exam. You will be asked to calculate the amount of accumulated depreciation. So remember, if it's straight line, look for that residual value and take it off. Okay, is everybody okay with that? Perfect. Brilliant. Okay then. So now we're going to move on to the accounts. Now there's a couple of things that I want you to notice. You'll see that I've got a balance brought down of 53,000 and accumulated depreciation of 19,400. These are just figures that I've put in, and the reason why I've done this is because when you're faced with an exam, yeah, you're going to have an amount of machinery, but you're not going to dispose of everything, okay? If it said 20,800 in there, you know that's the only machine they've got. But a common error that students do is they see that cost in the machinery account and they get rid of it all. Okay, so you're disposing it all, but you're actually not in this question. You're only disposing £20,800 worth of it. Okay, so be very, very careful. It's a trick that we love to do because we know we can trip you up with it. So when I write exam papers, this is the type of thing that I would put in there because it makes you look at the question, and also it gets us distinction students out really. So it's the type of error that we would put in there to try and trip you up. So what we're going to do is we're going to now start disposing of the asset. It's very simple. Now what I want to say to you is in an exam you may be asked only to do 2 accounts. Okay, so you might only be asked to do the machinery account and the disposal account. Okay, all I can say to you is write all the accounts out, scribble them out on a piece of paper. You know you'll have a disposal account, a machinery account, accumulated depreciation, and a bank account if that's how they've paid for it or they've received the money for the sale. Write them out. Get a piece of paper and scribble it down. Go through the scenario and do it on a piece of paper first, because it makes it easier then, because you're following the double entry format, which is what you've learnt from day one. Okay, where if I'm asking you only to do 2 accounts, you could possibly struggle because you're not following the double entry format. So draw your T accounts, go through the scenario, complete them on a piece of paper first, and then just get the accounts that the examiners ask you to complete and just copy it. Okay, once you get into that routine, these types of questions become really, really simple. Okay, so we're going to start disposing of the asset. Remember, I'm only disposing of the asset that cost £20,800, so I'm going to deal with that first. So I need to get it out of my machinery account, so I'm going to credit my machinery account, and the opposite entry is going to be my disposal account. So remember, when you put the details in, it's where your opposite entry's gone to. Okay, so if I've credited machinery account, it means that I need to debit my disposal account. Okay, and what I've done there is I've actually got rid of the asset that originally cost me £20,800. It's no longer in my accounts. Okay, however, in the depreciation figure, there's the depreciation that relates to that asset. The asset no longer exists, so we need to take it out. So I need to debit the accumulated depreciation account, the full depreciation of 11,400, and then I need to credit the disposal account. Okay, so I've now taken out the accumulated depreciation that relates to an asset that no longer exists, so it's no longer in my accounts, and I've put it in my disposal account. Okay, it actually says that I sold the asset. Is it on there, James? Right, it's not. It must be on other scenario. So I've actually sold the asset. So for 12,200. Okay, so the money's been received into my bank account. There is obviously part exchanges that we can do, but we're saying that we've received 12,200 for it, and we've put it straight into his bank account. Okay, so if I've debited my bank account, I also need to credit my disposal account the amount that I've received for it. Okay, because what I'm trying to do is say, well, this is what it cost me. I've written off the accumulated depreciation, and then this is what I've received for it. Okay, and as you can see, if you total up your credit side of your disposal account, it actually totals 23,600, which would mean that the balancing figure would go to your statement of profit and loss. And do you think that would be then a profit in your income and expenditure, or profit and loss account, or a loss? Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. So what you've done is you've debited your disposal account, so you would then credit your income statement or profit and loss account, and we know that if you use your pills, we know that sales or income is a credit entry, which means that it's money going into the business. Okay, so when it comes to questions like this in your exam, really look at what the examiner's asking you to do. There's no other way you can do it. I know the next webinar that I'm signed up to do is going to be about disposing of an asset, but there's a part exchange. Okay, this one's just about disposing of an asset and receiving a payment for the asset. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, but like I say, you've got to really think about it on a low level. Stop getting bogged down with it. Yeah, don't read too much into it. Use your knowledge and make sure that you've completed it step by step. So for instance, if I were an examiner and I said, just do me the machinery cost account and the disposal account, if you've actually worked through it step by step on a piece of paper, it would be quite easy then for you to put them figures in. Okay, so again, like I said, I just wanted to show you it on a very, I suppose, a simple level, because we can make accounting very difficult, but it doesn't help students. I like to make sure that when you get the information, you're getting it in plain English and on a level that you can understand. Okay, so like I say, it's only a quick webinar tonight, because I know people want to get to football, but has anybody got any questions whatsoever? Ollie, what don't you understand, Flower? Thanks, Sarah. Okay. You're welcome, Carmen. Brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. Why the entry? Right, okay. So like I said from the start, Ollie, yeah, if you look at my machinery, oh, sorry, I'm just going to go back and take all the other figures out. Okay, so what I started with, if we go back to the beginning, I said that we'd got a total of £53,000 machinery, okay, and I've got a total of 19,400 accumulated depreciation. That accumulated depreciation might refer to 3 assets, okay, so 3 machines. This is not just one machine in that 19,400. However, the amount that I'm actually depreciating is based on one machine that we're disposing of 20,800. So I'm reducing the accumulated depreciation account. Yep, got it. Brilliant. Okay. Anybody else got any questions at all while I'm here? Sometimes it's just easy. Yeah, ask as many as you want, Holly. That's what I'm here for. Brilliant, very clear, thank you. I can have a look to see if I've got any more, Sarah. What I'll do is when James emails this out to you tomorrow, I'll see if I can come up with a few questions, okay, and a couple of model answers for you to have a go at. Yeah, Holly, you can ask me about accruals if you want. Yep, I'll do it for you all, Lorraine, no problem. Absolutely, you can put it to use. Yeah, don't forget, anybody that is obviously on here, a Premier Training student, don't forget to email me. You know, after I've done this, I don't mind answering emails. It's not a problem at all. I've seen a practice way about entering a reversal. What is that? Okay. All right then, Ollie. Yeah, I'm going to try and explain it in plain English for you. What happens is if, for instance, you are doing accounts for a business and say the year end is 31st of March, okay, so all this is off the top of my head. So your year end's 31st of March and you know that you're paying £1,000 a month in rent, okay? So, for instance, it gets to 31st of March and what you've done is you've only actually paid 11,000. So you will have to accrue for that £1,000 in that month, okay? So your accounts have to show what we call a true and fair view. So you're showing that you have got £12,000 in your accounts, but you know you've not been invoiced for that last £1,000 and you've not paid it. So you would debit your rent account because it's an accrual and you credit the accrual account. Okay? Are you okay with that so far, Holly? Okay, brilliant. What happens then? So say on the 6th of April, I then pay the invoice for £1,000. Okay? I can't just credit my bank and debit my rent account because I will have duplicated that £1,000 that I've accrued for. So I have to reverse the original entry because an accrual is only there until we pay it. So what I would do then is I would have credited my rent account and debited my accrual account. So when I come to actually post the payment, I've not duplicated it. Okay? So when I've paid it on the 6th of April, I'll then credit my bank and debit my rent account, and I've not duplicated it because it's been taken out because it was only used in the financial year it related to, and then I've taken it out so it's not been paid twice and accounted for twice. Yeah. Yeah, the terminology can get a bit, you know, a bit hard at times, but just think about it on a low level, okay? Any more questions though, Ollie, you know where I am. Just ask away, okay? Has anybody else got any other questions? One tip that may help people is to write your own notes using screen. Yeah, brilliant. It's your study journey, to be honest, Sarah, so I absolutely agree with that. I like doing these webinars and giving you hints and tips because I learn on a low level and I like it to be in plain English. But it's down to you to make your own notes to keep going back over, or you can just keep my videos. It's not a problem. Brilliant. Oh, I'm really good. I'm really glad then, Trace. Thank you. No, I struggle with part exchange with that, so we'll see. Yeah, absolutely. I will go through it and make sure that the part exchange covered for you. Brilliant. Okay, if anybody's got any more questions, then type away. If not, I will wish you all a good evening, and I hope you enjoy football. Not that I'll be watching it, but let's hope England win. No problem. Thank you, everybody. Yes, I will make sure this is emailed, and any other additional questions that people have requested, I'll make sure you've got some. Oh, thanks, Sarah. That's lovely. Okay, brilliant. So this will be sent over to you tomorrow, guys. Like I say, anybody got any questions, you know where I am. I am more than happy to keep doing these webinars and speaking to you. And don't forget, any webinar you need me or my team to cover, please leave us a message on Facebook or email me, and we will get them booked in, because we will be looking at jewelry.